Israel's unyielding position on the Eichmann trial gradually earned the world's respect. Even Argentina made up with the tiny Jewish nation, and formal relations were restored. As preparations for the trial continued, however, there were outbreaks of anti-Semitic violence in Buenos Aires and in Germany. In Washington, D.C., a group wearing swastikas picketed the Kennedy White House, protesting Eichmann's capture. The defendant himself still protested his innocence. But as we will see tonight on American Justice, the man who had once boasted of being war criminal number one had been deeply involved in the implementation of Hitler's final solution, and he had not covered his tracks well enough. In preparing to try Adolf Eichmann for crimes against humanity, Israel converted a Jerusalem community center into a cross between a courtroom and a theater. An American law firm offered to take his case, but the former Nazi asked to be represented by Dr. Robert Servatius, who flew in from Germany. Servatius had been a counsel for the defense at the Nuremberg trials after World War II. Anxious to show that the trial would be as fair as possible, Israel paid the lawyer's $25,000 fee and made all the documents in the case available to him. As the day of the trial approached, police took extreme measures to protect the man every Israeli hated. Crowds filled the streets when the trial began on the 11th of April, 1961. Inside the courtroom, a bulletproof glass booth had been constructed. Eichmann was led into it, surrounded by policemen. The prosecutor, Gideon Hausner, eyed the defendant as the court rose for the entry of the 3 judges who would try the case. Servatius immediately lodged a complaint that the crimes had not been committed in the country of the trial, and that the judges were Jewish and therefore prejudiced. The judges ruled that no court was free from bias in such a case, and that they were no more prejudiced than judges in a case of theft were prejudiced against thieves. Eichmann then prepared to hear the indictment against him.
I will read the indictment to you, and it will be translated for you into the German. Tell him that he can remove the earphones now.
The Criminal Code Ordinance 1936, particulars of offense. The accused, together with others, during the period 1939 to 1945, caused the killing of millions of Jews in his capacity as the person responsible for the execution of the Nazi plan for the physical extermination of the Jews, known as the final solution of the Jewish problem.
There were 12 counts in all, adding up to a devastating indictment for having caused millions of deaths in Nazi concentration camps. Eichmann was accused of having organized the complex business of transporting Jews from all over Europe to their deaths. He had done this knowing that he was sending them to factories of murder. He was the key figure in charge of keeping the transport trains rolling into the huge concentration camps where Jews and other prisoners were tortured, worked to death, and gassed. He was identified as one of the leaders in implementing the gas chambers in which millions died, and the ovens in which their bodies were incinerated. Early in the trial, the prosecution established that Eichmann had always tried to keep his activities well hidden. His name and the senior level at which he worked only became well known during the Nuremberg war crimes trials of Nazi leaders such as Hermann Goering, seen here on the left, and Rudolf Hess in the center. It was at Nuremberg that the concept of crimes against humanity, under which the Nazis were tried and condemned, became accepted as part of international law.
Kühnen taught his successors to build a new Nazi party with new cadres and new tactics. In today's Germany, the neo-Nazi movement is bigger than ever before. More than 15,000 followers in former East Germany alone.
Gelobe ich,
Verschwiegenheit gegenüber allen Aufständen.
Deutschland erwache,
Deutschland erwache,
Juda verrecke,
Juda verrecke,
Sieg heil.
Sieg heil.